Okay, so this past weekend I had what I consider to be a pretty good weekend, above average. On Friday I went out with my friend, we applied for a job, and then we went to the block, and we went dress shopping, got pretzels, took pictures, and then on Saturday after dance I went out again, and we went and we hung out, and we rented movies, and we rented video games, and we went and got soda, and we got In-N-Out. And then on Sunday, after church, I went out to lunch, and then I went to the movies and saw a date movie, and then I went to Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory, and I got candy there, and then I went home, and now, when I made all those purchases, I was using my debit and my credit cards, and I have this slight worry in the back of my head for when my statements come, because my parents look at all my statements, and I know I'm going to get in trouble for it, but not just because I spent all my money, but because I didn't ask about it. But what I spent my money on is what I always spend my money on. It's what's important to me. And that leads me to this quote by Steinham. It says, "We can tell our values by looking at our checkbook stubs." And I totally agree with this statement, because I can see it portrayed out in life in many different aspects. Personally, what I'm going to talk about right now is my parents, my older sister, and myself. With my parents, looking at their checkbooks, they have their normal, I guess you could say adult values, because they're in their mid-50s, and their checkbooks, gas, electricity, water, and currently right now, tiles and all these other renovations, because we're remodeling our house. And that's what's important to them, because they're older and they're settled in their lives, and they know what's going on, and they have their jobs, and everything's like nice and easy. And for my sister, she just recently got married to her husband, and they're just starting out in life, and they're actually kind of struggling right now, but she's been in and out of jobs, and she's kind of still whimsical with her money, even though they're not really steady. And her checkbook she's got things like school and stuff, because she's trying to get through that, but she's also got things like clothes and clothes and clothes and clothes, and my sister really, really likes clothes. And you can tell that through her checkbook, and by the fact that every time I see her, she's wearing a completely new outfit with shoes. And honestly, in my life, if you look at my checkbook stub, I'm the baby of the family. I'm still living with my parents. They're paying for my schooling. And so my checkbook, it shows what's important to me right now. I spend things on movies and food. That's about it. Oh, and books. That's what's important to me, just having fun. And so, Steinham's quote, "We can tell our values by looking at our checkbooks," I find that completely true. And so, if you meet somebody new and you really want to get to know them, just ask to see their checkbook.
All right. You speak personally and with confidence at the beginning of the speech, sharing the examples, and you transitioned the quote very effectively. I thought you had a very good preview that structures the speech later on, makes it easier for you to come back to those examples. They get developed a little bit because of that, and I think there's always a little bit more that you can tell on each of those stories, but you had a couple of good events that you were referring to. When you come back to your own experience, of course, it sounds a little redundant with what you talked about at the beginning, although I think you recognize that there were a couple of things toward the end of that section that maybe you ought to mention, like your school books, for instance. I thought that that was kind of funny. Your voice, I think, projects pretty well. You've got nice personal energy there at the beginning. You need a little bit more variety. It seems sort of narrow in the tone and the energy level there. At the end, there are a couple of places where it drops out like you're uncertain, and I thought that was a little strange. At the beginning of the presentation, you start off with your hands behind your back. They stay there for a while. As you speak, you loosen up a little bit more and you get more involved in talking to us. Your facial expressions are very effective. You're pretty expressive there. Your eye contact, I think you have a tendency to look down a lot more than you think. I think you believe that you're talking to the audience, but when you watch this back, I think you'll notice that you do have a tendency to kind of look down in front of people. It's not like you're looking down at the ground, but instead of looking at people in the eye, you're sort of looking in their direction, and you know, it needs to be up in their, I shouldn't say in their faces, but you know, at their faces, and maybe is a better way of saying it. I like the confident exit line that you have, although if you think about it, meeting somebody new and asking them to look at their checkbook is a little creepy. So you might want to be careful about that, but I like the idea that you're tying it into the point that you were trying to make, which is fine. Thank you.